A group called Healthy Workforce ABQ and their supporters say they have gathered more than enough signatures for a ballot measure to require employers to give employees 1 hour of sick leave for every 30 hours worked. All businesses that operate within the Albuquerque city limits will have to comply if the initiative is passed by voters. Many say that this will help worker morale because the worker will not have to worry about choosing between forfeiting a day's pay or going to the work when they're sick. On the other hand, business owners say that their costs will be prohibitive and some employees could abuse sick leave. Tom, let me start with you as a business owner. A lot of pros and cons here, a lot of things to kind of parse out here, but on a start, let me say this. As a former employer, and let me say this about running a business here in Albuquerque. The sick call is a dreaded thing here. You know, when your phone rings at 6:37 in the morning and you just know someone's calling in sick, I can't tell you how many managers I know that 50%, if not more, of their time is spent managing, you know, sick leave, people calling in sick, filling in schedules. Don't know about your business, but your gut, is this workable? Just a flat out workable thing for you in your gut? Is this going to work for Garrity PR?
For Garrity PR, we're already, you know,
you're above the threshold.
We're already above that threshold.
Okay.
You know, I think that there are businesses that want to provide sick leave. I think there are businesses that want to be able to provide health coverage, dental coverage, vision coverage, and everyone should if they're able. To throw these mandates down and say you have to do this, you have to do that. It's already going to it's going to literally shut down small businesses in the Albuquerque area, and it's going to give reason for them to move to Bernalillo County. This item is nothing more than something to get people out to the polls on election day.
Right.
And you know, it has absolutely nothing to do with sound business practices. You know, all this stuff is really good and it makes sense. It just doesn't make fiscal sense. And if you want to shut down, you know, Albuquerque from a business perspective to be business friendly, this is the best way to do it.
Dan Foley?
Yeah, I mean, he's right. This is crazy talk. I mean, we're gonna have a living wage. We're gonna mandate health cares. We're gonna now have paid sick leave. I mean, you start going through all this stuff. This is exactly why everybody around us is growing, and this is another reason why businesses look at it and we are a flyover state. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. There was the announcement today that Cabela's is opening up here. Right. You know, we just got the call center that's coming in to Rio Rancho. I mean, things are starting to turn around. There's some construction going on, and to me, it's just crazy things like this. And I think Tom hit the nail on the head. I don't think that the folks that do this care about sick leave for individuals. I think this is politics. It's how do we generate more people in a certain party to get them to the polls to go out and vote to make a change.
It works. It works, doesn't it? Yeah.
To some extent, it's backfired. I mean, the Republicans have proven that pushing the Christian value far right wing deal, it worked. And then it backfired.
Gotcha.
And so I think, I mean, lots of things. Fair I mean, it's been a real, and I just think it's crazy when we use these mechanisms, when you muddy up the system with partisan politics instead of really trying to affect change.
But you know, Christine, you know, 24,000 signatures is no small thing. A lot of people are saying yes to this. It has to mean something, doesn't it?
Sure it does. Yeah. And so what we're seeing here played out at this table, but also in our city and in the days to come as we debate this issue, are familiar fault lines: labor versus business, the appropriate role for government, small government versus mandates and so on. But what we're also seeing is incredibly important to observe economic stress, economic inequality. Just as you said, Tom, that your firm is taking care of folks. My role as a UNM professor, I was taken care of and so on. But we're not talking about those folks. We're talking about people, again, in distress. And they can be professionals. My sister is a social worker. She doesn't earn very much money. She works for the state of Texas, and they haven't given her a raise for years. Right. Where is she going to find the time to go take care of her kids or go take our mom, to the doctor? And so we're talking about economic stress, immigrants who are also on the edge. That's also part of this. And so I think we need to have a discussion about a larger context. And I don't think this is unrelated to a topic that we also addressed on this program, which is the situation of racial profiling, racial inequality, and economic inequality as it's played out in the streets of Baton Rouge, Albuquerque, wherever.
That's right. When you can't get work, just exacerbates things. Exactly right. You know, Laura, as I mentioned earlier, as a former business owner, and I want to touch on that again, specifically construction. And the reason I mention that is there is a flow through of employees when you own a construction company. It's not like having a firm of a half dozen or a dozen professionals that show up every day. I mean, there are sometimes in a calendar year a tremendous amount of people that flow through your company. The idea that a business is supposed to keep up with that and the paperwork of all that with a company that has flow through, talk to me about that, because I'm telling you right now, that would make me just insane.
Move to Rio Rancho.
I would go out of my mind if I had to do what's being proposed here, for what I remember for the amount of sick leave and people in the turnover. I'd go out of my mind. What is it fair? Is it justifiably fair? How do you balance all this?
Well, I think that there's, this idea, the proposal needs to have more discussion, and discussions like that specifically from people who understand the way this works. I think that to a certain extent, the groups that are doing this have a particular type of job in mind, and I think it goes along with what we've seen with the minimum wage ordinance. A lot of restaurant workers and people that have sort of a more stable, that kind of an industry, I think has some very real challenges. And I think you're exactly right that a lot of it relies on day labor type of situation, which has its own problems as well, obviously. So I think that those are the kinds of anecdotal and I think industry specific details that need to be fleshed out in a proposal like this, and hopefully one that the City Council will consider and will take testimony and will actually look at it so that there's a lot more input into a situation like that. But I don't think that those examples are a reason to just shutter the entire discussion or the entire proposal. Because I think there's some very legitimate problems, societal community problems that we have to address.
That's right.
That something like this could assist with, and that is making sure that people are not feeling like they have to come to work when they're sick. I mean, the bottom line is people who come to work when they're sick, in addition to you said the fearful 6:30 a.m. phone call.
Right.
I have the fearful, I came to work anyway, and now I'm getting everybody sick because they feel compelled to come to work.
That's right.
And that becomes, I think, a problem as well. And in addition, when you have a child or a parent who's ill and you don't have that kind of situation where you can take time off or you don't have the ability to do so. So who's taking care of those children? Who's taking care of that parent?
That's right.
And I think
it's part
that's
of a bigger
real problem.
system. That's right. Exactly
and,
right.
And I think that the point about Tom's company in particular is not necessarily the target that we're talking about. He provides those issues already, but there's a lot of other small businesses, and I've also been a small business owner. I mean, it's tough to provide all of that, and so you end up relying a lot on contract labor. You end up doing, independent contractors instead, which doesn't really address this issue. I mean, my understanding is they're talking about employees. When you're talking about employees versus independent contractors, it's a very different structure.
1099 nation.
I certainly, I think there's no shortage of people out there willing to do contract work.
That's right.
That's
Exactly.
Tom Garrity.
As a political scientist, I have to say,
Please.
I am not troubled by getting people to the polls.
Ah.
And if a local issue increases voter participation, I'm all for it.
There you go.
Especially in this presidential election year where voting participation may be low.
There you go. That's all the time we have. Thank you all for being here. Great discussion. Good stuff. I'm Gene Grant. Thanks for joining us this week for New Mexico in Focus. And as always, we appreciate your time and effort to stay informed and engaged. We'll see you next week in Focus.
Funding for New Mexico in Focus provided by the McCune Charitable Foundation and the Nalita E. Walker Fund for KNME-TV, the KNME-TV Endowment Fund, and viewers like you.